Welcome to the Anime Audiophile Podcast. Enjoy. Sasuke Shinden, Book of Sunrise. Chapter 1 Part 3. The massive iron gates connecting the village with the outside world were closed now, as if to escape the darkness of night. The enormous rock wall with the faces of the 6 generations of Hokage carved into it was quietly illuminated by the light of the moon spilling through the clouds. Ancient even among the ninja villages, the land of fire's Konoha. This village, which had once taken catastrophic damage from Akatsuki's pain, now shone even more brightly than it had in the past, and the population, which dropped during the Fourth Great Ninja War, was gradually recovering. Everything appeared to be going well, but every era inevitably had its trials. This is actually a tough one. The Hokage's office. Looking over the letters that had arrived from Kirigakure and Kumagakure, the 6th Hokage, Kakashi, sighed. The missing shinobi were master hands. And with the ninja of Kirigakure, 100 shinobi had disappeared all at once, together with a ship. According to Kumagakure, someone who had seen the Kirigakure ship in the ocean near the port in the Land of Lightning. In which case, it was possible that the ship had docked at one point at the port of the Land of Lightning. So maybe the Kumagakure ninja had gotten on the ship and gone somewhere with them? But it was not going to be helpful if they had actually fled across the ocean. They wouldn't leave any footprints or scent in the wide ocean. Even the ninja dogs Kakashi could summon, all of them excellent trackers, would have a hard time finding the missing ninja. Kirigakure and Kumagakure were no doubt both at a loss for what to do. If this were the past, the details of this incident would have stopped at the borders, but the letters seeking information had been sent to Konoha, Uegakure, and Tsunagakure, ninja villages of the 5 Great Lands, and now the information seemed to be spreading even further. Although this was another village's problem, it was not a stranger's problem. When the information arrived, Kakashi conveyed it immediately to the ninja of Konoha. And to Sasuke, who was traveling the world. Kakashi suspected that Genjutsu was involved. Although neither Kumagakure nor Kirigakure had any specific theories, they likely thought the same thing. And it had to be an unknown Genjutsu. That was the only conclusion he could come to when he thought about the fact that so many ninja had been unable to grapple with it. Sasuke probably thought the same thing after reading Kakashi's letter. Sasuke had left on his journey for information and atonement, saying something bothered him. Unlike the ninja in the village, he had some room to maneuver. And more than anything else, he had the Sharingan and the Rinnegan. Things other ninja couldn't know might be seen with his eyes. 6th. He heard a knock on the door of his office. Identifying the voice as that of Shizune, former Hokage Tsunade's student, he called out, "Yes, come in." She was kind enough to be his assistant as well. The door was slightly ajar. Shizune poked her face through with a concerned expression. "Excuse me, Sai says he has a report," she informed him. He had asked Sai to get in touch with Sasuke. So it was probably a report that his message had reached him. Shizune looked worried, but Kakashi said, "Sure, show him in." "All right, then." Shizune opened the door and looked over her shoulder. "Excuse me." "Hello." Sai walked in with his usual somehow smarmy smile on his face. Behind him was Haruno Sakura, looking apologetic. A question mark popped up in Kakashi's mind. Behind Sakura, one more person came into the room. "Hey, Master Kakashi." Playing the fool with an unboundedly cheerful smile was the man who had saved the world in the last Great War, Uzumaki Naruto. Sai was one thing. Why were Naruto and Sakura here? Of course it would be you, too. Naruto clasped his hands behind his head and cackled. Sai said he was coming to see you, so I just tagged along. Without the slightest compunction. "You too, Sakura?" "I was looking something up with Shizune." So when Sai and Naruto asked Shizune for a meeting with the Hokage, they had noticed Sakura there and invited her along, then. "Anyway, how about I hear your report, Sai?" "Right. My messenger safely reached Sasuke the other day. The cartoon beast bird flew off to the northeast, HM? In which case, judging from the number of days, he's around Yugakure or Shimagakure, maybe? Hearing this, Sakura let out a sigh of relief. Sasuke was still alive somewhere. She felt easier, just knowing that. So, like, Master Kakashi, any progress in the disappearances? Naruto unclasped the hands behind his head and looked at the letter in Kakashi's hands. He was clever at times. Apparently, there's no evidence or anything. Sixth, something's bothering us about this incident, Shizen said. Sakura nodded and stepped forward. It seems that we're seeing ninja missing from Konoha, as well. What? Kakashi started to rise from his seated posture. It's not on the same large scale as in Kirigakure or Kumagakure, but there were several cases about 3 months ago. There might also be others that just weren't made public. Even now, they had many dangerous missions, and sometimes, ninja did go missing. And because they had more frequent contact than before with other regions, there were more people coming and going. So this wasn't a special, rare occurrence, but something bothered Kakashi about it, too. Why were you looking into something like that, Sakura? Sakura was very busy as a medical ninja, and the fact that she was looking into something of this nature was a little unexpected. At his question, her gaze froze slightly. A regular at Ino's family shop went on a trip and disappeared. Ino said he wasn't the sort of person to suddenly vanish, and when I heard about this case, I immediately remembered him. Yamanaka Ino was a female ninja, Sakura's rival and best friend. Her family ran a flower shop, where Ino also worked from time to time. The sight of Ino worried about a regular customer had probably stuck in Sakura's mind. I thought I'd tell you once I learned more details. Given that this was Sakura, there was no doubt she had been planning on telling him once she had looked into it enough to be sure. Oh, thanks. I'll keep an eye on it too. Although the person on top was thought to have all the information, he actually didn't. For better or for worse, people sifted through information, deciding what was and wasn't worth telling the Hokage, so a lot of information never reached his ears. Which was why it was vital for him to hear the opinions of people he knew like this. Good thing Sakura's story got to me at the right time, Kakashi thought as he turned his gaze to Naruto, who had brought Sakura in to begin with. It was at that moment. Sixth. There's an invader in the village. A ninja from the barrier team appeared suddenly in the Hokage's office. Tension ran through the room. Did they touch the barrier? A spherical barrier had been set up around the village of Konoha, from the ground up into the sky. After the attack by Akatsuki, they had put up an even more powerful barrier. They're already inside the barrier, all the way to An Gate. What? The ninja of the barrier team are currently on their way. The end of the word didn't make it out. Boom. They heard a sound like an explosion from somewhere. Kakashi and the others opened the windows of his office and looked outside. Master Kakashi, flames, a fire had broken out in the direction Sakura was pointing, near the An gates, perhaps an effect of the explosion. Master Kakashi. We'll go check it out right now, Naruto said. Sai swiftly opened up a scroll hanging at his hip and sent his brush racing across it. The ink drew out a large bird with its wings spread. Ninjutsu. Art of cartoon beast mimicry. The bird flew up from the scroll as if being born and spread its large wings outside the window. Flapping them, the bird first allowed Sai to leap on, then, Naruto and Sakura followed suit. Do it, Kakashi said, tersely. Naruto nodded, and the three flew off in the direction of the flames licking up into the air. Sixth, I'll go give the order for firefighting activities, Shizen said, and Kakashi nodded in her direction before giving the order to gather information in all areas. He glanced at the letters from Kirigakure and Kumagakure laying on his desk. What exactly is going on here? On the back of the enormous cartoon beast bird Sai had drawn, Naruto and the others hurried in the direction of the gates and the nearby fire. But when they were halfway there, Sai abruptly dropped their altitude and started flying low enough to scrape against the roofs of buildings. Sai, what's going on? Naruto shouted in surprise when he spotted a three-person cell ahead of them racing along the rooftops toward Aeon Gate. Oh! Shikamaru? Sakura leaned forward and looked down. Ino and Choji too. Sai, I can't believe you noticed them. The group of Ino Shikacho had also apparently heard Naruto and Sakura. You guys were heading for Aeon Gate, too? Shikamaru shouted, looking back. Get on! Sai called out. The three jumped up onto the enormous bird, and although the bird staggered and nearly crashed into a building the instant Choji was on board, Sai managed to get them flying high again immediately. Naruto and the others looked once more at the three new arrivals. Shikamaru, Ino, and Choji were childhood friends, and they had previously joined together in a three-person cell under Sarutobi Asuma. However, now they each had their own positions and didn't often work as a team anymore. Ino and her mother asked us to, so we've been chasing after traces of the regular customer from the flower shop, Shikamaru explained, reminding Naruto of Sakura's investigation and what she had reported to Kakashi. You find any clues? He asked. We found the inn that was probably the last place he stayed, Shikamaru replied. The mistress there said he was on his way back to Konoha after a hot spring treatment. That meant that this customer hadn't planned to disappear. So then something happened on his way home, Naruto remarked. Ino nodded firmly. His name's Tadachi, by the way. He lost his wife young. He's the sort of person who'd buy flowers at our shop and offer them to his wife whenever he had the time. He used to be active in the Embu, but now he's fairly well on in years. He retired as a ninja this year, and when he came and said goodbye, he told us he was going to go around to the places where he spent time with his wife. He'd been a regular customer since Ino was little, so she was fond of him, unsurprisingly. Look. There's the whole thing with Kiri and Kumore now, right? We're worried he got dragged into all that, Akimichi Choji interjected. They're also investigating in Kumagakure, but it was raining at the time, so the scent got washed away. It's hard to find traces of him. Choji was in contact with Karui, a female ninja in Kumagakure, so he could get independent information. At any rate, before all that, we need to do something about this situation, Shikamaru said, putting a stop to that conversation. He looked toward Aeon Gate. Within the gates, which were locked at night, flames licked up into the air inside of Konoha. Shikamaru, we were just at Master Kakashi's, and apparently there's an intruder in the village, Sakura told him. Ninja from the barrier team are supposedly already on their way there. So then if we can spot the barrier team, we'll know the enemy? Shikamaru said, and Naruto leaned far forward, straining his eyes. Over there. Naruto's gaze was resting on the barrier team. They appeared to be fighting enemy ninja. Shikamaru spotted them at the same time. He furrowed his brow. What? They're totally on the defensive? Just as he noted, the ninja of the barrier team were retreating, almost as though they were trying to avoid actually fighting. Some were already injured, lying on the road. Huh? Ino suddenly cried out. What's wrong, Ino? Sakura asked, but Ino didn't respond, instead moving to jump off by herself. Ino, that's dangerous. Sai grabbed her arm to stop her. Ino's eyes were still on the enemy attacking the barrier team. It can't be. What's wrong, Ino? Choji asked, seeing all the blood drain from her face. Her lips trembled. Tadachi. She forced the name out. It's Tadachi. A shock ran through the group. The man Ino called Tadachi was clad in travel gear, and the look on his face was blank, like it had been scraped off. You're sure, Ino? Shikamaru asked. I'm totally sure. But he's not the kind of person to turn on Konoha. Why, so then, Shikamaru looked down on Tadachi. Is there a possibility he's under a genjutsu, maybe? This time, Sakura gasped. She looked at the faces of the other enemies. It might be exactly that, Shikamaru. What do you mean? The information she had just been reading on the missing people came back to life in her mind. It's the people who went missing. What? They're Konoha ninja. They might all be. Shikamaru clicked his tongue and looked at the ninja of the barrier team. So that's why they've been forced into a defensive battle. Someone on the barrier team had likely realized that the enemy warriors were Konoha ninja. But if it was Jinjutsu, then there was a chance they could be brought back to their senses with a counter Jinjutsu. The barrier team was no doubt fighting with that very idea in mind. The attacks they threw at Tadachi were too weak to kill. Wait, that, Naruto said. What's that about? They felt a wave of pressure, like something swelling up and coming toward them. Injured by the barrier team's attack, Tadachi fell to the ground and his body began shaking. Oh, this is bad. Naruto immediately leapt off the bird. Shadow clones. As he rolled the signs in midair, his shadow clones landed next to the various members of the barrier team. Naruto? We're flying. Without giving them a chance to say anything, Naruto lifted up the ninja of the barrier team and all departed from the place at the same time. When he looked back, Tadachi was slowly getting to his feet. Despite the fact that he was injured, his face was still expressionless. The blood spilling out of his wounds frothed and bubbled. And that wasn't all. Lumps popped up all over his body, almost as if there were another living creature inside him, crawling around. We gotta get further back. Naruto got more distance from Tadachi before putting the barrier ninja down in what was probably a safe place, and then starting to run back to Tadachi to try and help him. But the lump seething through Tadachi's body swelled and grew larger, and his skin, unable to contain the growth, split. And then, boom! He exploded violently like he was bursting open. The houses closest to him were unable to hold up against the impact of the explosion and were destroyed. Fortunately, Naruto's shadow clones had gone to check on and bring out the people in the buildings nearby, so there was no human damage, but new flames rose up into the sky. Are you okay, Naruto? Sakura cried, as Sai's cartoon mimicry bird landed and they all raced over to Naruto's side. Tadachi, Ino stared dumbfounded at the scene, bits of flesh flung everywhere. Sakura placed a concerned hand on her back. I'm okay. She pulled herself together and immediately ran over to the injured members of the barrier team with Sakura. However, the threat had not ended. Hey, don't they seem kinda weird? Shikamaru's face hardened as he stared at the ninja of Konoha, likely under someone's control. Until moments ago, they had been baring their teeth at the members of the barrier team, but now they suddenly turned their backs to them and started running. The Konoha ninja then spread out their hands on the wall that surrounded Konoha and clung to it. Naruto gasped. No way. Them, too? He stared hard at their bodies. They were all injured somewhere, probably injuries from the explosion of Tadachi. Blood oozed out of their wounds, and just like before, it was frothing. A chill ran up Naruto's spine. Shikamaru. They're all gonna explode. What? If we have several explosions like that one at the same time, this whole area could be sent flying. There were 9 Konoha ninja left. Their bodies began to transform and swell up, as if things inside were pushing outward. Shikamaru clicked his tongue. Can you make some wings with Art of Expansion? He yelled at Choji. Ji got it. Choji opened a bag of chips he had hidden on him and shoved them all into his mouth. As he hurriedly chewed them up, he concentrated his power in his body. End of part 3. Thank you for listening. Remember to like and subscribe for lots more.